I became the interim sheriff in May of this year, and continue in that capacity now as I run for office.
How have you found that different from being the chief deputy?
Yeah, it's one thing to have your hands in everything on a daily basis, but to be out in the community and communicating with everyone, and talking to people in churches and civic groups and in people's homes, and getting a feel of what the community thinks about Fluvanna. I think what they think about the sheriff's office was very enlightening, and it's been a good experience. I've enjoyed that, and it's been a positive experience. I can see in the community how much respect and trust that we do have out there in the community. A lot of places they would say, well, could you have a Ferguson incident here? I would say, I mean, you can have that anywhere in the country. But I think it's less likely to happen here because, one, we have a diverse agency, and we have a diverse community, and we have a community that has trust in its agency. And when you have that, you're less likely to have something like that happen.
Was there anything in particular that's motivated you to seek the post, permanently, shall we say, or at least, on a full term basis?
Where it was a surprise when Sheriff Washington took his job up in Richmond. But anytime someone betters themselves, good for them. And it put me in a position where, in the progression of my career from a patrolman to a deputy to a sergeant to a chief deputy, well, that's the next step. So, it's part of that progression in a career. And it's like summing up a career. How better can you end your career than being the sheriff or a chief of an agency that you've worked all your life to do something, and then there it is. And the only difference is with a sheriff, you have to run for it as an office versus being appointed as a chief.
And speaking, you mentioned that, run for it as an office. I gather you have made a point of saying that you are running without, in effect, a political identification. You're running as an independent.
Absolutely. I feel, and that's my personal feeling, is that the chief law enforcement officer of any community should remain bipartisan, so that there's never any one way or the other of somebody saying you played favor for one side or the other. There is no favoritism in law enforcement. You enforce the law. End of conversation.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess the main thing probably people would be interested in that if elected, what really are your main goals? What do you hope to accomplish?
Well, the Sheriff Washington did a great job of bringing the sheriff's office to where it was when he left. He put a tremendous amount of work in it, and for 8 of those years I was a part of that, and I saw the direction that he was taking the office, and it's pretty much a direction forward in trying to make to work more with less. As the economy got worse, you had to do more with less. I think schools, everybody has felt the pinch, and those are the ways you have to adjust. You have to adjust your agency to the types of crimes you have. You have to adjust to, like when we lost 4 part-time deputies. You had to scramble to readjust your agency to provide the services, the key functions that you have to have for the community on a daily basis. Changes, we restructured to make our office more efficient, more people working out in the field, and that's what it was all about. Things I'd like to see that to come about in the community is, like in Albemarle County, I would like to bring in, increase our reserve program. Currently we have 3 people in our reserve program. I would like to see that increase, as well as our volunteer program, which is called VIPS, Volunteers in Police Service, which are civilian volunteers. We need help there. We don't have a receptionist. We don't have anybody up at the front of our desk, and it's because we had to do away with those positions so we could take them and make them deputies and put them into courts so we could put more people back on the road. Yeah. So it's always a give and take. So we have to do what we can. So increasing our volunteers would give us some help, because guess what? Somebody still has to talk to the people that walk in off the street, and somebody still got to help file the reports and stuff. So now it's We're having to share those responsibilities, and bringing on more reserves would help us for community events and emergencies that incur in the community, like in the snowstorms and working Old Farm Day and all. The difference in Albemarle reserves and here would be that our biggest component is law enforcement, which has a great deal more criteria than courts and civil process, and the certification is much longer for that. The Department of Criminal Justice Services has brought out a 3-tiered level of police officer standards, and I think those standards in our office should be the same for a police officer as a deputy, because guess what? That's the function in law enforcement. So there's 3-tier levels that we can have people in the community become, be able to send them to school and to get them educated, and they can. Level 3 is less than lethal, not armed. They can probably be like somebody would help you with traffic at Old Farm Day and stuff like that. You use them throughout the country. You go to big events in other communities, and they have police officers, that are walking around that, all they're doing is helping with traffic. A very good way. And level 2 describes what their limitations are, and then level 1 would be just like anybody else. I think that's very important to bring that. Accreditation process has been a big topic, and it's been very misunderstood. What I like to say about accreditation is, yes, we've been working on it. Accreditation is something that takes time. It's something that when they come in and assess you, you better have your stuff together, okay? We don't have anybody full-time to do that, and we do that when we have time. It's one of those, one person's got the job, and they also have 2 other jobs. So we have been working in that direction for a long time, but what I'd like to give you some statistics. There are 340 law enforcement agencies in this community. Of those 340 agencies, only 91 of them are certified or accredited.
In the Commonwealth.
In the Commonwealth of Virginia. Out of those, 25 agencies are a member, and they are working toward what is called self-accreditation, meaning they don't have a complete staff to where you can, like in some agencies, there's 2 or 3 people that work, and they do accreditation every day, forever. That's all they do.
Really?
So we don't have the staffing to do that. But we are one of 9 sheriff's offices out of the 25 in the state of Virginia that have been working toward accreditation.
Right.
We have over 1,500 policies and procedures in our agency that are reviewed every year to make sure we're in compliance with everything that goes on in the state.
Yeah.
So that is a goal that we will continue to do. Another thing that I would like to see in the community is I'd like for us to expand out a little bit into having a few small satellite offices around some of the business areas in the Fork Union, maybe up toward Troy or wherever. Partner with another business, be able to have a little space in their business where we'd have a desk. The officer could get out of the car and could do their report, don't have to drive all the way back to the sheriff's office to do your report, and more visible out in the community. And I think that being proactive, what we have been doing in the sheriff's office for the last few years, has really impacted the crime rate in our community. In 2012, you saw a 13% reduction in crime. In 2012. In 2013 has just come out, and I can't quote you any specifics, but we're very close to and almost right on 18%. So we're doing something right out there.
Good news.
And I attribute some of that to having more people out on the roads, breaking the county down into sectors and holding the deputies to being more accountable in the community and doing the community policing approach, getting out, meeting people, and things like that. So those are the 3 quick things that I would start with. And there are a few others.